Hello, my name is Braden Sanders, and today I will be going over my reading of Fuenteovejuna as well as my interpretation of the main theme and some supporting evidence from the story, as well as two articles I found on Google Scholar and the historical context and history surrounding this piece, as well as its importance to me and what I think is important for everyone. This slide shows my table of contents for this presentation. On slide 3, I have my introduction, and then I will have my analysis of the theme. I will have 2 slides of my supporting evidence. Actually 3, one for the story, 2 for the 2 articles. I will have a slide on the historical context and importance, my conclusion, and my citations. Starting off with my introduction, Fuenteovejuna was first published in 1614 by Lope de Vega, a famous poet, a playwright, and dramaticist, as well as a soldier, always reinforcing his beliefs that the issues of history should be prevalent throughout his insanely large 1,500 works written gave him plenty of opportunities to showcase his problems and concerns with Spain and the Spanish monarchy. Using both historical examples and current-day examples, current for his time period, during his plays, Vega was able to pierce through his overall light-hearted and comedic tones to bring up deep and complex themes about power dynamics and how governments should conduct themselves. Fuenteovejuna is arguably the most well-known and popular play of his. Wrought with concerns for Spain as it struggled through a great time of strife, he was able to successfully entrance audiences with a deep and important story of villagers overthrowing their tyrannical rulers. Over these next few slides, I will be going over my analysis of the story as well as its theme and the evidence I have brought to support my analysis and my overall interpretation of this story. Fuenteovejuna is a play about power, the abuse of power, and the way in which the less powerful were able to overcome the more powerful. Based on true historical moments, the story displays a struggle between the weak and the strong, and how through camaraderie, collectivism, a weak population overcame the strong. Vega uses this play to question political authority, divine right, and consent. Consent for the poor and the divine right of the ruling class. Using the commander Fernan Gomez de Guzman, Lope displays the treachery performed against those without power and unable to defend themselves in the face of the Order of Calatrava and the commander. Fuenteovejuna is a small town in Spain, which at the time was ravaged by civil war. The military occupying the town is run by the commander Guzman, who treats the villagers as nothing more than meat for his pleasure, overstepping all sense of morals in order to terrorize the village and its inhabitants, eventually ending in the villagers overthrowing him and killing him. Lope demonstrates what it means to come together in the face of a brutal occupying force only there because of a non-negotiable, quote, loyalty to the ones who own the land, such as the queens, the kings, and other monarchs and feudal lords. To me, one of the most important pieces of evidence of how the ruling class just completely disregarded the poor in the story was the entrance of Commander Guzman, who uses his authorities to have his way with the villagers on a daily basis. His first moments in the play with the villagers shows him using his soldiers to nearly rape 2 of the main female characters and force them into his bedchamber. Stating Pascuala, which is one of the inhabitants of the village, is his, for aren't you mine, which is quoted for line 602. And he seems to be truly shocked by the refusal later in lines 609 and 610, where he questions them refusing. And a couple lines later, after he forces his military subordinates to handle these 2 women and force them into his bedchamber, he tells them to draw the latch, which is basically to lock the door. This immediate portrayal as an evil man, just abusing his power every chance he gets for his own satisfaction. He has a blatant disregard for life in the pursuit of his selfish desires, and this sets the stage for the rest of the play and the dilemma of the villagers of Fuenteovejuna. Vega immediately paints the commander as a figure of authority consumed by his power over others, relishing in the madness. And in the first scene of the play, he spouts lies of honor to his superior of the Order of Calatrava. And this is a very stark piece of irony. This next piece of evidence I got is from an article written by Leo Spitzer I found on Google Scholar. This article presents a new way of looking at the poem through the importance of harmony in both the musical elements and in the way that the villagers live together in harmony. The introduction of the commander in Fuenteovejuna, the villagers sing a song of loyalty, which is done multiple times and was common. Spitzer brings up the importance of harmony and justice in the scene of Act 3, in which the council decides to murder the commander for disrupting their harmony, and the villagers led life swearing loyalty to those who demanded it. But after going through hell during the time the commander led them, they decided to act autonomously for the first time and for justice, to keep their lives in harmony. While the last article went over the overall harmony and how the villagers wanted to keep their harmony, this next piece looks over the political overtones, both written in by Lope as well as the historical political overtones. This article is a great article written by William R. Blue. It is titled The Politics of Lope's Fuenteovejuna. And most interesting to me, this article states how every side of the political spectrum is able to look at this play in support of their views. The play can also be interpreted as advocating for low-class peoples overcoming, quote, social, economic, and political chains. Lope's ideology in this play was presented in a time where the hierarchical structures, such as lords, the monarchy, and lower lords were normal. It was normal to spend your whole life serving a lord given that position from birth and not necessarily from your accomplishments in life. The monarchy was what Lope lived his whole life in and ultimately what he believed worked. He believed that there was structure with the monarchy and without it there would be anarchy. But that did not mean he did not question and speak his concerns and display the problems that come with the monarchy and unquestioned power. Lope understood that every form of government has corruption and wasn't afraid to show how vile his own monarchy had been in the past, even if he was a Spanish nationalist. The political overtones in the story also come to the historical context and the importance of the historical context. The war for the Castilian throne was a succession war and it was a time of immense desperation for Spain, and an immense desperation for loyalty for the feudal lords. Lords were made to choose a side with Isabel and King Ferdinand of Aragon, or Joanna and King Afonso V of Portugal. And I have a map on the left that shows Aragon to the right and Portugal to the left, as well as the disputed territory, which is the big yellow in the middle. Fuenteovejuna was close to the border of Castile and was under the control of the Order of Calatrava, led by Rodrigo Teles Gairon, who was backed by King Afonso. This is what led to the Commander Guzman to enter Fuenteovejuna and terrorize the citizens for only his own pleasure. Set in a time where defying the natural order and divine authority given to the lords of monarchy was not too common, it was shocking that a town had risen up and killed a commander along with some of his army, especially a commander that was backed by a Catholic monarchy. To find out who killed the commander and to set an example for the town and all other towns, King Ferdinand sent a group to torture the civilians of Fuenteovejuna. When all of the citizens, even under torture, only said, quote, Fuenteovejuna did it, Ferdinand gave up and pardoned the town. And this was part of the importance of the story as well, because this showed that through solidarity, a town was able to overcome the corrupt monarchy in it. Fuenteovejuna as a play, as well as just a piece of writing, provides great insight into the time period of 1400s Spain, in the era of feudal lordship, and how the system of governance actually operated with true historical evidence to back it, and how the hierarchical class structures at the time led to disgusting displays of power and disregard for human life. This story, as well as Lope de Vega's own insight and concerns given to us throughout the play, come together to create a timeless masterpiece on class solidarity, written in a way in which everyone in the audience cares about the villagers, when they overthrow Guzman and how they overthrow Guzman and why. Lope takes the foreign and not popular idea at the time of fighting against the social hierarchy and humanizes it by making it personal for the characters, dramatizing it to make the audience invested with the story of a class struggle set in 15th century Spain. This play and piece is important in how it appealed to the reader's emotions while at the same time incubating a new ideology on how the social hierarchy of Spain was flawed with sickening evidence. Ahead of its time, even to this day, it can still be read as an example of how class struggles have always been present and will always be present, but also how coming together can lead to a more harmonious society for all. This is my citations page that I used for this presentation. On the top left, I have the anthology book, which had the play written, and on the top right, I have the article in which William Blue discusses the politics of Lope and Fuenteovejuna. The middle piece right here is the article on the central theme and its structural equivalent. On the bottom left, I have a link to the politic article, and on the far right, I have a link to the central theme article. Thank you for listening and watching my presentation on Fuenteovejuna. I thought this was a wonderful piece of literature, and I think it is very important for a lot of people to read. It's eye-opening to see a dramatized version of what it was really like in Spain and under feudal lordship, where lords had the control and the power to really do anything they wanted with little to no consequences. I think this showcase of class solidarity and a group of peasants rising up to overtake their tyrannical lord was very, very beautiful. And I think a lot of people can draw inspiration from a story such as this, and I think this is the kind of story that everyone needs to read at least once. But overall, this is a great story, and I hope you like my presentation. Thank you.